All right, Bulls and Bears back with another dose of economic reality. And it's bad. It's bad, folks. Let's get into the news here. Without hesitation, please make sure you're subscribed. Let's jump right into it. Thousands, thousands of Walgreens stores set to close. The article here comes out. This is Money Watch out of CBS here. Walgreens to close up to a quarter of 8,600 stores. So if it is a quarter, we're talking 2,000 plus stores being closed. 2,000 Walgreens stores closed, folks. That if that's not a sign that something is seriously, seriously wrong, what is? Um, in fact, if you read what the CEO is saying here out of Walgreens, you read that it's exactly what we talked about here, that theft continued to get worse, that consumers are pulling back on spending. And as you can see in the picture here, the people that are the most upset about this are the people that need the prescriptions, a lot of senior citizens, a lot of elderly people. So these people are going to have a much tougher time. I guess they can all run to Walmart now. And then what's next? Are we going to see the people that used to take things from Walgreens? All the thieves are going to now go to other stores now that the Walgreens are closing, and maybe this will continue to happen where more and more stores close. And we're on set to set a record. We're on pace to set a record here in 2024 for store closures. We'll have to see how this plays out, but so far things look to be continuing to get worse. And I wish I had better news to tell you here. I mean, um, we're being told that the economy is growing, that there's a recovery, that inflation is, being tamed or slowing, when in actuality prices are still going up. And on that note, did you hear Jerome Powell today? Did anyone hear what Powell had to say? Let's play you a clip here real quick. And there was a lot more to his speech and things that he came out and said, using words like disinflationary path, making it sound like things are getting more affordable, like things are getting easier for people. Disinflationary, right? Kind of like transitory. This is Mr. Transitory Inflation right here. So he was wrong about that. Now he's using words like disinflationary. And let's go ahead and look this up. Disinflation, reduction in the rate of inflation. There it is right there. Reduction in the rate of inflation. Right? So prices are still going up. It's just going up less quickly. A reduction in the rate of inflation, not deflation. So they use this word disinflation. They can't use the word deflation because deflation's not happening. Right? What about all the people that are having a hard time paying their rent? And we know that rents are up on average about 26% in the last 4 years. People that are having trouble already, they don't need disinflation. They don't need disinflation. They need deflation, right? Big difference. Similar words, but very, very big difference. They can't say the word deflation. In fact, that's now a dirty word for the bankers and for the powers that be, for the central planners. So pretty interesting. Let me know if you heard his speech and what you thought about it. A lot of looking down at his notes to read off of a script, to put the narrative out there that things are actually getting better when things are getting worse. Things are getting more expensive. People are continuing to blow through their savings, putting more expenses on credit cards, financing more. All the financing schemes that you see, it's just going to have to continue. We now have student loans being paused again because the students couldn't make their payments, millions and millions of them. And I'm sure it's going to continue expanding to most of the people that have student loans. And that will continue to expand beyond student loans. But at some point, we're going to have to see a stoppage again in payments of all different types of loans. So I think they're just going to come out of the blue and do that? No, I think that's going to be some sort of chaotic situation that comes up that they're going to point the finger at, kind of like 2020, where everything gets shut down, all the payments get paused because we had to help people because the economy had this unexpected situation come up. What's it going to be? Is it going to be World War III? Is it going to be the goat flu? I mean, who knows what's going to pop up here, but it's going to be interesting, that's for sure, right? Let's move on here to some other news because I got a lot of information I want to put into this video today. Let's talk about this job openings scam, the JOLTS, JOLTS, the JO job openings. labor statistics, something like that. Um, Big scam, folks. The number of job openings rose by 221,000 from the previous month, but that was one of the worst months we've had in many, many years, right? So it wasn't hard to recover from last month. In fact, let me bring up a chart here, and I want to show you all the scam in the jobs numbers, the jobs openings. All right, so first of all, we had job openings grow all the way since the financial crisis. We saw, of course, the big drop in 2020. And what do we see? We saw an unprecedented surge in job openings. But here's the thing, this came on the back of record money printing, record borrowing, record stimulus, freezing everyone's payments so they had more money to spend on top of the stimulus checks. And a lot of these jobs were just jobs that were lost in the big collapse in 2020, right? So you have the jobs not really gained, but jobs that were just re-added, right? These jobs were basically jobs that were lost that were just put back on top of the stimulus and all the shutdowns and everything else that caused the big surge and of course caused inflation, right? Inflation got much worse during this time as well. But look what happened ever since the initial surge. It peaked out in March 2022, peaked out in March. Ever since then, it's been a downward trend, right? So that's why we're approaching the point once again where the next crisis may be right around the corner because the jobs just in a downward trend. Jobs are fading. Of course, they're going to put it out there as positive news. Look at the jobs openings. It's recovered from last month, folks. You want to see last month's numbers? Let me just bring up a year chart here and look at last month's numbers. The worst in several years. I shouldn't say last month because we're just now getting the May data. The June data is not even out yet. So the month before that, April, the worst in many, many years. Look how low that was. So then the May numbers came out and they said, wow, look, it's great. It's a lot better than April. But look at the previous months job openings compared to May. May was terrible too. It was just a lot better when compared to April. So you see the games, folks. You see the shenanigans, the games, the fakery, the foolery that's being put out there to try to convince people that the economy is actually strong, right? It's almost laughable at this point. I have to laugh at some of the news. That's why at some of the videos I'm actually laughing at the opening because of sometimes I can't believe the news that I have to bring you here. And what I said about rents, I was pretty close. U.S. home rents increased by 26% since 2020. Do these people want to see their rents go up more, which is disinflation? Maybe it's going to go up a little more slowly. Or do these people, most of these renters anyway, do they want to see deflation? Do they want rents to come down? Well, I would guess uh, most of them want rents to come down. Who wants prices to go up more, right? I don't want prices to go up more. I mean, if you're in an investment and you benefit off of inflation, I mean, some people that have silver, they want the cost of living to go up because they feel like silver or other hedges against inflation are going to go up. And that's good. Nothing wrong with making some money on that. But if you're paying more for everything else, sometimes what you're making over here doesn't cover or doesn't equal what you're paying extra for over here. So inflation's a nasty, terrible thing. Even if you're hedged, even if you're investing, unless you're in the top 10%, most of the time you're paying more on this side than you're making on the left side when it comes to covering the inflation with your investments. Next, American Banker put this out. The FDIC has a resolution plan for failed mega banks. Right? Is there something bigger happening behind the scenes? I've always said here, if you've got 35 trillion in debt already, why can't you print or borrow another 35 trillion in debt, another 35 trillion of debt to keep all the banks rescued? But even with that, even with the capability of coming up with trillions of dollars to keep the banks operational, they still have a resolution plan for failed mega banks. Now, American Banker, the way they put it is that this is a empty promise. We know the FDIC doesn't have enough money to even cover 2% of the depositors. I think it's even less than that. So what's the plan here for the mega banks? Let me just bring up this article here. American Banker. Resolution plan for failed mega banks is an empty promise. And so what are they saying here? Systemically important banks under the Frank-Dodd Act. The FDIC plans to achieve one of the primary goals of the Dodd-Frank Act, protecting taxpayers. protecting taxpayers from the cost of rescuing the mega banks, right? Get that. Protecting taxpayers. There's a term that's sounding positive, right? Are they protecting taxpayers with the 30 something trillion dollars, 35 trillion nearly in debt that we're supposed to pay back? Right, we're supposed to pay this back. This is what we call public debt. 30 something trillion public debt. That means you and I, folks. We're the public, and we're supposed to pay this back. And of course, it can never be repaid. So it's going to be your kids, your grandkids, if you have kids. A lot of people are scared to even have kids because they see what's happening with the situation with the economy. Right? Do you want to have kids that are just going to be born into a debt, basically a debt bondage system? That's what it seems like to a lot of people. That's why you see the childbirth rate plunging. Right? People are scared. Of course, people aren't saying that. People are just out swiping their credit cards. Everybody looks like they're happy. They're spending money. They're shopping. They're going to clubs. They're going to ball games. They're doing this, doing that, to restaurants and such. But deep inside, people are scared, right? You don't see the birth rate plunging for no reason. It's plunging because people are concerned about the cost of living, not only for their kids and grandkids, but can they even afford to have a family? A lot of people are asking that question, and we see this big what's called the childless by choice movement right now, and there's a big economic financial backdrop to that I don't think anyone is talking about. All right, let's just talk about rents again for a minute here. Here's a statistic out of Florida. If you're making minimum wage and you want to pay just the median rent in Florida, you have to work 96 hours. Floridians voted in 2020 to raise the state's minimum wage to $10 an hour until 2026. But yet, to afford the median rent, you're working 96 hours a week. So 2 full-time jobs a week just to afford the median rent here. Am I correct here? Actually, I made it sound better. It's actually 98 hours a week to afford a one-bedroom rental home at fair market rent. So not only can people not pay their rent, median rent on minimum wage, they have to work 80 hours, over 80 hours. That's 2 full-time jobs, but it's even worse, 98. So about 2.5 full-time jobs just to pay the median rent, folks. Where does it end, right? We need some deflation, folks. With all the new people coming into the country, it's not going to happen. All the hotels are going to be filled up pretty soon. Then it's going to spill over into housing, and it's going to be bad, folks. It's going to be a disaster here. But we're going to wrap this one up. Let me know what you think about this. It's crazy. What do you think about the 2,000 plus Walgreens closing? The disinflation, according to Jerome Powell, he doesn't want to say the word deflation. Why is that? What do you think about all this? The 96 hours in Florida, somebody making minimum wage trying to pay rent. Can't do it, folks. Not going to happen. The jobs numbers surging in 2020 and then drop ever since then. Pretty bad, folks. Let me know what you think about this. Big love. Keep stacking. Bye for now. Peace.